Hello, this is Michael Williams. It's wonderful to be here today with Miss Mona McDonald. And Mona and I worked together last year, sometime in the spring. We were just trying to figure out when we worked together. But it's been like a year now, right? It's been
It
like a
has.
year.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to, we meant to do this interview like a year ago, but we're just doing it now. And so some people wonder, well, do people that go through your program relapse or do they do better? So this is one of those times where I'm actually doing an interview a year later, and Mona and I are going to talk about several things during this interview. So thank you very much, Mona, for joining me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Michael. I have to say that it's been such a blessing working with you and also continuing with you with your programs. I join your teleseminars.
Mm.
I get all your emails. And so I continue to follow you because you've helped me so much. I just want to start by telling people how I basically found out that I needed help, meaning I needed help with my speech. I'm from a small town in Decatur, Alabama, and ever since I can remember, Michael, I've stuttered, and I'm talking severely. If you can ask anyone in my family or friends, they would actually introduce me by stuttering before saying my name, which I've always resented, and so I was associated my identity from others equals stuttering. And so in school, I struggled. In college, I even joined the military in 1990 when I was 17 years old.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I made sure that I chose a career whereby I didn't have to talk all the time. And that was administrative specialist.
Hmm.
Well, I found out quickly that that field talked all of the time. And so embarrassment ruled my life. I had to do a lot of public speaking because at that time I was stationed in Fort Rucker, Alabama, and I will never forget it, Michael. I was responsible for processing the aviation soldiers,
Hmm.
and my role was to assist them with filling out paperwork. Well, oh my gosh, sleepless nights, I tell you, I could not sleep because I was thinking about, oh my God, how am I going to say this or how am I going to say that? It was chaos. It was totally chaos. I thought I was going insane.
Hmm.
And sure enough, when I stood in front of the group, I did horrible. I couldn't get out a word. I blocked horribly. I was looking at people's faces, and some were laughing, others were frowning and shaking their heads. I was so embarrassed. It was the most horrible thing in my life. And at the time, I thought, this is my life. I hate to say this, but this is what I thought. I thought, okay, I suck. I suck at everything. I suck at talking. I suck at everything. And so that's how it started. And it proceeded throughout my entire life. Now, mind you, I joined the military when I was 17, and I served for 4 years,
Hmm.
which I got out in 1994. And after that, I held, thank God, I held successful careers as an administrative assistant,
Hmm.
moving up the corporate ladder, eventually becoming a successful executive assistant.
Hmm.
My success was associated with me choosing the right words that I did not stutter on. For example, well, most of you probably know, instead of saying computer, I either pointed at it or I said, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. And then the other person finished my words for me.
Right.
So that's how I made it through.
You got your MBA too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I received my MBA
Hmm.
at Laterno University in 2007.
Hmm.
And even then, I had a problem.
Hmm.
And as most of you know, who's been to school, I had to give presentations in
Hmm.
front of people every single week. And I dreaded it, but I had to do it because I wanted to be successful in my career. But I tell you what, it was, a nightmare.
Yeah. I remember I was in the military as an officer doing some training, and I remember standing up. I mean, I feared that this would happen, and I was standing up. And this was before I started really working on my speech. I was standing up in front of my platoon, and I had to give them a command to come to attention, and I couldn't. I'm standing there, and I couldn't. And so nobody knew what was going on. So I had to call the platoon sergeant up and tell him that I was getting stuck. Could he go ahead and dismiss the platoon? That was extremely embarrassing. Extremely. It didn't happen again, but I was always afraid because it could have happened at any time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Isn't it funny how back then we thought that we had no control, absolutely no control over our speech. And I felt the same way. I felt like, okay, if I can't say this word this time, or if I block this time, sure enough, it's going to happen again.
yeah.
And of course it did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what prompted you to seek help when you did? Last year sometime, or maybe you decided before then, but why did you choose to look for help?
Well, truth is, I sought help my entire life. Nothing worked. As a matter of fact, when I was in the military, my boss, I love that man. He saw how much I struggled, and he saw how I had to answer the phone and I could not get anything out. He's the one who signed me up for a 12-week extensive course over in Frankfurt, Germany for speech therapy. I mean, it was 12 weeks every single day, the entire day. And I did really well there, but then long-term effects, it didn't work. And then after the military, I saw help from stuttering support groups. I even bought a fluency master, which is similar to a speech easy. I believe it's a little device that goes in the ear. Right. I depleted my savings account, Michael, because I really wanted to stop stuttering. I not only hated my speech, but I started to kind of resent or hate myself. I hate to say it, but that was the way that I was feeling because I couldn't understand why I couldn't speak like everyone else.
Yeah, a lot of people. What did you pay for that device? I know they can be expensive.
Oh my gosh. I will never forget it. I was in Atlanta, Georgia when I bought it. And it was in the year 2002. That device was $2,500.
Right.
I actually went and I borrowed $500 because I had $2,000 in savings. And I bought it immediately because I had to have it. I had to stop stuttering. And it worked for a while, but then it stopped working.
I've heard from a lot of my clients that those devices, and I'm sure it's not like this with everyone, but all of my clients who have used those devices have told me that they work for a little while, then they stop. Every single one of them. And I've had a lot of clients who've used them, and I forgot that you did. They say the same thing about those intensive programs. There's one that I'm not going to mention that people go to, and I don't know how many weeks it is. It might be 12, but it's here in the U.S. And people say they go there, and then when they leave, after a certain amount of time, they regress.
Yeah.
And there's a good reason for that. The reason is not because what they're teaching doesn't work. It's because you come back to your own environment, and the pressures that you experience in your own environment then begin to impact your speech the way that they used to. And you haven't developed a new speaking style in your own environment. Yeah. And that's one of the things. If you could just give me a second, I want to turn on a little bit of light because it's about to storm over here. So might be getting a little dark. I might have to turn on the light overhead a little bit too. But yeah, so you had been seeking help. How did you find me?
I found you when I was in a very depressed state. Okay. Um, so I'm sorry.
Hey, you're not gonna make me
Sorry.
cry. You're not gonna make me cry too, right? We'll both be on here crying.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Huh?
So when I found you, Michael, I was working at a home building company, and my boss actually called me in his office because he said that I lacked confidence.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the reason why he said that was because according to him, and now after talking to you, it was absolutely true. According to him, when I talked to him, I stuttered all the time. However, when I talked to certain groups of people, I didn't stutter. And so I tried to explain to him, well, I am a person who stutters. It's not because of you. It's not because the other group. I've stuttered my whole life. And
Mm.
he said, no, I know people who stuttered, and it's not you. You can stop it. You just need to build up confidence. And what he was saying was partly true, but I was so upset. I was upset. I was frustrated. I was angry at myself for not being able to speak right. And so I sat down at my computer, at my desk, and I Googled, how do I stop stuttering? And bam, you popped up. And
Okay.
so I said, who is this guy? Because trust me, Michael, I've checked out every stuttering program and I've never seen you.
Mm. Okay.
Um, I believe it was a few years though, and I stopped searching for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say maybe 5 years or so. And you've been out a while, but I've never seen you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw your video, I plugged my headphones in my computer and I started listening to one of your videos. And I'll never forget it. You were talking about inflections
Mm.
and the way that you looked at the camera, the way that you spoke. I started thinking, wow, he's really different than all the other programs or all the other therapies that I even considered using. Let me continue listening to him. And so, to make a long story short, that's what I did. I started listening to you every day for a couple of days, and then I contacted you about the self-study Pro 90D. And then shortly thereafter, I contacted you because I needed coaching. I thought that coaching would get me to where I needed to be quicker. And
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's one of the advantages of coaching. You can do it on the self-study. It's just
yeah,
generally is going to take you longer for a variety of reasons. One, you don't have the accountability. Life just gets in the way, so you start and stop. Two, it's a challenging process, and a lot of people give up. But then they see, well, okay, it was working a little bit, so then they come back. So now you're starting and stopping. So of course, it's taking you longer. And so you need someone to encourage you, to keep you accountable. And
yes,
also, there's the evaluation and feedback. So when you're getting that weekly evaluation and feedback, you can make corrections faster as opposed to when you're not, right? The self-study does work, and I've got many people doing the self-study and doing extremely well. It just takes longer and
yes.
it's harder.
Hmm.
Right?
And I have to say that the feedback and the advice and the suggestions and the observations that you gave me in coaching, I couldn't have done it because you saw me face to face. You stopped me when you had something to say, about an area to improve. You coached is truly coaching. You told me what to do step by step by step.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing and it works.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's talk about now a little bit about the process, and specifically one thing that you've kind of become an expert in. Um, what's the one thing that you did that my program is actually based on? It's what I did to help me literally make my living as a speaker, and I'm not talking about making my living helping people overcome stuttering. I've been making my living my entire life. I'm now at the recording of this video. I'm 48, and I've been doing this for the past several years or so, right? But prior to that,
You look 35. You
people, people are like, what? So, but prior to that, I was adjunct professor. I was a relationship coach teaching workshops. I was in ministry. Everything I did had to do with speaking. So when some people say, well, you're making your living off of us. No, I was making my living long before I started doing this speaking, right? And then I went through kind of a transition of, okay, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And that's how I started doing this. So I wanted to ask you then, what's one of the things that you did during this process that you feel like helped you the most?
If I would have to say one thing in the program, because everything works together, to be honest with you, everything works together. So you can't isolate anything. I don't believe, in my personal opinion. I would say it was modeling. And for those who don't know what modeling is, in short, and this is a extremely summarized version of modeling, according to Mr. Michael Williams, it is acting as though you're the person that you're trying to copy or model. And so my model was you, Mr. Williams. And what I did to aid me in my speech success was to do this. Every time I spoke, in my mind, I thought about how you would do or say a certain thing, or how you would react in a certain situation, and how you would say a particular thing. And that's just basically it.
Wow. Okay. So what did you have to do in order to have that mental impression, that mental reference of how I spoke? You had to get it into your brain somehow. What did you do every day?
I had the advantage of not only having access to all of your videos, most of them are free. I watch those every single day. I watch those. So I saw you in the way that you spoke, in the way that you acted, as far as using your hands, and the way that this may sound really weird to some people, but this is actually what I did. I copied everything that you did, the way that you held your head, even down to your blinks. That's what I did when I spoke, because I had no idea how to speak. In other words, I had no idea how to speak fluently without substituting words. And so in order for me to speak and say what I want to say without even thinking about switching words, I had to get outside of me in a way, and I had to be you. And so this may be a little bit confusing. Hopefully I'm explaining it so that everyone can understand, but I had to get outside of myself because I didn't know how to speak fluently. So I had to act like you, who is my model. And that is how I was able to be free and talk fluently. And it's amazing. It took practice, but it's amazing that it worked.
That's exactly it. You said a few key things that I want to point out. One, you had to get outside yourself, and you had to literally become me. Now, some people might think that's weird. Actually, it's very much supported in educational environments. It's called social learning, right? Observational learning. People do it all the time in sports. You literally find someone, or in any area, actually, you look at someone, and if you really want to improve quickly, you just pretend that you're them. And people might think, well, then I'm losing myself. I'm not myself. But actually what ends up happening is it just brings out a better you.
Yep.
It brings out a better you faster than if you try to develop a better you by yourself. Because by yourself, you're still thinking that you're you. And you stutter, or you get stuck. But the other person doesn't. So if you pretend to be them, then all of a sudden now you don't stutter. You speak well, you're confident. And then that becomes you, right? And
Yes.
now your identity, your self-concept is now built around this. Well, I can speak fluently and smoothly, and I am confident, right?
Right.
Only because you kind of borrowed that other person's persona for a period of time.
Right. You always put things perfectly, but that's exactly it. I had to become another person because inside I was still nervous. I was anxious. I was
Mhm.
fearful of
Mhm.
certain people and certain situations,
Mhm.
especially public speaking and especially the phone. You
Mhm.
know, modeling even helps when I answered the phone. It was amazing. And after I had a successful conversation, either in person or on the phone, I just had to sit back, and I would sometimes send you an email saying, "Oh my gosh, Michael, you would not believe this. I just spoke to this person, or I just called this person, and I was confident and I didn't think about my speech and blah, blah, blah." So
Yeah,
it went on and on and on, but it just gets better until after a while, I don't model anymore.
exactly. Yeah, I remember you telling me. Now, what did you do? You did something on a daily basis that I remember you telling me about when you were driving to work and driving home, and then at night and in the morning. What did you do? This is very important for people to hear this because this is part of what I call the immersion process. What did you do every day in and day out?
Hmm. Before I answer that, I have to say that this is why I said from the beginning that modeling is just one component.
Mm-hmm.
Everything works together. And the other component that I did, in addition to modeling, is to totally immerse myself
Mm-hmm.
in not only your audios.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Michael, thank God for the passive learning. I still listen to that. I still
Mm-hmm.
listen to the passive learning. It's so powerful. I just feel like I feel better. It's very inspirational, and I like inspiring audios and
Mm-hmm.
books and all that. But anyway, I listen to my audios
Mm-hmm.
and videos, although I did not look at the videos when I was driving because of course that wouldn't be safe. Um, I actually listened to the videos while I was driving, not only to work, but when I was making my coffee, when I'm in the kitchen making my children's breakfast, I was constantly listening to your audios or your videos. When I was in my car, I plugged in my audio and I listened to those all the way to work. And I have about a 45-minute to an hour commute.
Mm-hmm.
During lunch, I listened again. During break, I listened. On my way home, which took a little bit longer, it takes me about an hour or an hour and 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
from work home. I listened. When I got home and I cooked dinner for my kids, I listened. But this time, what I did was I have an iPad. And what I did was I propped up my iPad on my bar area
Mm-hmm.
and I occasionally glanced over, but mostly listened. And that was every day, every day, constantly. Oh, and at night, I listened to the Imprint Impress, which is another audio that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I dreamed about what you're saying. It
Mm-hmm.
was really weird the way that happened. But I actually dreamed about me speaking fluently. And I even was telling myself in my dreams, I was telling myself, I'll never forget it. I woke up saying, I'm an excellent speaker. I'm like, yeah, I am an excellent speaker. I mean, it really gets in your mind, and you named it perfectly. It's imprint and impress because it's imprinting these positive things, these positive affirmations in your mind, and you're believing them. You're actually
Exactly.
believing them. It's
Exactly.
really amazing.
And I have another client who lives over in one of the Caribbean islands, and she's done the same thing. I mean, she would listen to it all the time. Sometimes in her office, she would be, and she's an executive, and she was a severe stutterer, severe. And she did the same thing, and she still listens to stuff now. She's now working on her PhD. She has
Oh,
gotten at
wow.
least 2 or 3 job promotions. right?
Wow.
So do people regress? Of course, there are some people who are going to regress, right? It doesn't matter what program, my program, every program, but it's not because of the program. You have to do certain things,
Right.
right? And you don't have to work at the same intensity you did when we first started. Right now, you're just listening and you're just making sure that you're out there and you're speaking. So you don't really have to think about modeling now. You just do it. So it's part of this process that you went through that imprinted and impressed this new speaking style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to highlight for people, that you immersed yourself, right? You
Yes.
spent as much time as you possibly could listening and watching, and then whenever you spoke, you pictured your model and you tried to speak like those are the secrets. If someone's watching this video, that's the secret, or those are the secrets. So someone might say, well, why do I need coaching? Well, some people won't need coaching and just get the program and they can do that on their own. But other people who want to get there faster, that's why the coaching works for them.
I do want to say another thing, Michael. In addition to immersion, it's really important for people to realize, especially if they sign up for coaching, you're the creator of this program. You have seen it tried and tested time and time again, like 1,000 times over, probably more. And what I've learned is when a person has created something, they know it in and out. So if they tell you something, just follow exactly what that person said. And that's what I know in my life, that if a person who created something tell you something, that just go ahead and do it. Don't question it. For example, modeling may seem out of your comfort zone or a little weird, or you may feel this isn't me, but do it. But do it because it is you. It is normal to other people, and it'll catch up. You'll finally catch up and realize that it's okay with you also eventually. But just do it because the creator of the program said do it, because it works. And so that's what I had to remember. Okay, this is weird, but Mr. Michael Williams says do it, and I'm just going to do it. And I'm so glad I had that mindset. Otherwise, I don't think that it would, ever work.
That is such a great point before we move to our next one, but I wanted to say it because that one now is, and I know every creator of a program says the same thing, just follow what I say, because they've probably seen their programs work too. But in this one, you do just have to trust that I've personally experienced it myself, so I know it works. But okay, maybe that's not enough. And then other people have told me when they just had faith, had trust, and said, I'm just going to do exactly what he says. When they've done it, it's worked, be it in the self-study or the coaching. And so as I begin to see this pattern year after year, spending more than 1,000 hours with people, and you see it working, and clients tell me, this is what worked for me. And then I pass it along and says, just do this. Not only do I say it worked, other people says that this works. And then when you just say, okay, I'm just going to do it, then it works. But if you're like doubting, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do all of that. I'll just do this part over here, but I won't do that. Then that's when it doesn't work. And then people get frustrated. Oh, well, you said this was going to work. Well, I created a checklist. This program isn't working. Right. I created a checklist called this program isn't working. And on the checklist, I go through all the things that my clients tell me they've done that works. And if you go down the checklist, if you're doing all those things, it's going to work for you. Absolutely. Because if you can learn, then you can learn a new way of speaking and thinking. It's not about me. It's not about the program. It's about your ability to develop a new habit, a new pattern of thinking, a new habit and pattern of speaking, and learn a new skill. Because this isn't just about not stuttering, right?
Right.
So that takes me to my next transition in terms of how things are for you now. But let's rewind, because before you even finish the program, you joined Toastmasters. Tell me.
Yes, I forgot.
Tell us, and you're not the first. Remember, I told you that I had other people who had gone through the program
That's amazing.
And they were going and they were either doing well or winning Toastmasters.
And wasn't there a president of Toastmasters?
Yep. Guy in California, he was the president. Going through, and I told you, I said, that's probably gonna happen to you. So tell us what happened.
Oh God, I hope I don't cry again. It's very emotional because I never imagined doing any of this in my life, in my entire life. Well, I won like best speaker for a month straight, right?
Yeah, you sent the ribbons. We have the ribbons in the group.
Like best speaker. And I realized when I was in Toastmasters, I'll never forget my first day. I was so nervous. And at that time, I think I was with you, Mr. Michael, for about a month. And so you encouraged me to join just to, make sure that I did things that I was fearful of. And Lord knows public speaking was one of those things. I was so scared of public speaking, so afraid of stuttering, so afraid of people looking at me and judging me. And so I joined on the first night. And then I gave my speech the next week. And I won best speaker. People told me, "Oh my gosh, you're a stutterer? Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." And I have a speech therapist. His name is Mr. Michael Williams. And I told them all about you. And they said, "Oh my gosh, you're a natural. You're a natural and you speak so well and you capture the audience." They gave me all of these excellent comments. I still have the papers with all of the notes. Next week. It was just awesome. And that positive reinforcement, I really believe, and even you told me, you said, as soon as people start realizing that you're a great speaker and you hear it over and over again, you will begin to believe it more and more and more. And you're so right. Because now I'm not arrogant or anything like that. It's a healthy positivity, because you can't tell me that I'm not an excellent speaker. And you can't tell me that even though I mess up, it's not about perfection.
Right.
It's just like you said, it's not about not stuttering. It's about being an excellent communicator. And that's what I am.
Yeah. Now you also shared with me that did you enter a contest or something at work? Did you do something at work?
Oh, yes. You're so good. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget it. I entered a contest at work, and it was for a women's monologue. And so basically what it was is contestants enter and they have to give a 3 to 5 minute presentation about a woman in history, any woman in history. Well, I ended up talking about the famous gospel singer, Mahalia Jackson. And there were, I believe, 10 contestants. So I was one of them. And I won first place out of 10. I won a $250 Macy's card.
Wow.
Yeah. And people after that, they came up to me. They told me, "Oh my gosh, you are such an amazing speaker and you captivated the audience and you commanded attention." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, well, thank you." Now, mind you, I did not tell any of those people that I stuttered. Right. I just got up there and spoke and I won first place.
Wow. And this was not even in Toastmasters. This was in a very professional environment, right? Where, this was...
Yes.
Yeah.
It was at a major health system, my previous job. I'm no longer there, but it was a previous job that I did that. And that was this year, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It was this year.
That's amazing. And if you recall, I told you that you would begin to hear people tell you that kind of stuff. And because you are.
I must say, I doubted it at first. And that's what I was trying to let people realize. You may not understand it all at first. You may hear, you may sign up for coaching or a teleseminar or even the passive learning, and you're hearing these things. You're a superior speaker. You're an excellent communicator. You're this and you're that. And you're thinking, but I'm not. Right? I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
but eventually your brain will catch up to your speech, and you'll say, and you'll start believing it because you really are. You know, what Michael kept telling me, I began to believe him because I began seeing gradual results.
Exactly.
And now it's just skyrocketed.
And that's where the modeling comes in. The modeling quickly helps you get results so you can physically see and feel yourself speaking differently. And then with the mental training, right, the affirmation, then you begin, it's starting to rain, right? Then you begin to believe that it's true. So you're seeing it, you're feeling it, and you're believing it, and you're hearing it. All of that goes together to literally transform your speech. And as long as you maintain that, it becomes automatic and natural, kind of rewires your brain or reprograms you so that we can see a year later, you're probably doing better than what you were then. Right.
Yeah. Michael, your program, the coaching in your programs and your teleseminars, I just want to tell you, and I'm sure that I'm speaking for thousands of people who's watching this right now, you have changed our lives. And I just want to thank you so much for the time that you dedicated in the past in perfecting this and giving it to us, because I tell you what, I wouldn't be standing up in front of people every week right now in my new job, conducting new hire orientation, which is the same thing that I did in the military. Remember that I told you that I dreaded it? I don't lose any sleep. I'm actually excited about it. I don't care about what people think about me. And I communicate effectively because you know what? I am an excellent speaker.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, let's talk about some numbers here. In your first job that you got after the job, you got a job that was significantly, I'm going to say, different. Just tell us a little bit about that you invested a certain amount of money in the coaching. And then within, I don't know how many months it was, what happened?
Oh, my goodness. After the coaching and after my speech significantly improved, I applied for a job, I'm going to say maybe 6 months after that. 6 months after the coaching and my job that I accepted, 6 months, I received a $20,000 raise. $20,000.
I thought it was 10, actually. Okay, well, that's even more than what I thought.
Yeah, it was 20. Yes.
Wow.
It was significant. And during the interview process, you know, I wasn't nervous. It was the complete opposite of the past. Before, when I interviewed, I was always nervous and I always was kind of timid. I wasn't really sure of myself. And you know what? My former boss was right. I just lacked confidence because my entire life I couldn't speak. And so once my boss, who is a doctor, by the way, offered me the position, I asked him, because I really wanted to know, why did you select me out of the top two candidates? I mean, the competition's stiff, right? And he said, well, you know, you're very articulate. And he kept saying, you're very articulate. You will represent us well. You will represent the board on my behalf very well. And you're professional. I can tell that you're intelligent. You have an MBA. And I can just tell that you can make a difference in this company. And this was over the phone. And while he was talking, I'm like, and tears just streaming down my face. So I tried to, you know, quickly compose myself. And say, no one has told me that I was articulate. Never. Until after your program.
Wow.
And even now, I don't even worry about my speech. And I'm sure during this interview, I stumbled. But you know what? Everyone stumbles. Who cares?
Exactly.
So exactly. This is awesome. I'm so happy and I'm so grateful.
So what would you tell people? You know, there's people that I work with now and people that I will work with in the future, people that are probably watching this video and considering, you know, do they want to make the investment? Does this really work? Can they trust me? All that kind of good stuff.
Trust Mr. Michael. Trust him. Seriously. Please trust him.
And a lot of people that I work with have some common issues introducing themselves, right? That's a huge one. Introducing themselves on the phone or answering their phone, making phone calls, giving addresses and phone numbers, things like that, giving presentations, obviously, and so forth. What would you tell people who are struggling with those things and more, or even just fear of public speaking, right? Maybe they don't even really stutter, but they just, when they have to speak in public, that just totally causes their mind to go cloudy. They start stumbling over their words. But they're considering the Pro 90D speech system. What would you tell them?
Gosh, I have so much to say, but I know I have to make it short.
Yeah.
I really do have a lot to say. I would first of all say, if you have trouble, if you're having any trouble with any of those areas that Mr. Michael just mentioned, you need to exert a little bit of faith, just a little bit, and try the program. He offers so many different programs. I believe you've even got group coaching now, individual coaching. There's so many products. You need to get plugged in by investing your money into something that really works. Take it from me. It really, really works. And secondly, even if you don't really have a stuttering issue or a speech impediment, oh my gosh, all of the speech therapy programs that I attended focused on speech, not stuttering, do not stutter. When now I have actually become an excellent speaker. I mean, I am winning Toastmaster awards and people are giving me accolades at work for fantastic new hire orientations because of the way that I communicate and the way that I organize information and present the information and engage the audience. Michael taught me all of that. So either stuttering, if you're a person who stutter, if you're a person who wants to just become a better communicator, giving presentations, Mr. Michael has all of these years of experience. Is it over 26 years?
I'd say maybe over 20 years.
Over 20 years?
Yeah.
And you taught me so much in 6 months. I mean, I have nothing more to say. You either plug in or you don't. Do you want to get better or do you not? But you have to remember that when you plug in, you have to exert the effort. You have to immerse yourself. Just like Mr. Michael was saying, you have to put in the effort because nothing comes by osmosis. Is it osmosis?
Mm-hmm.
When you think that things just happen, just evolve by doing nothing, that doesn't work. You have to exert effort.
That's
and
right.
The effort will pay off and you will be in a position that you would have never thought that you would be in. Like me, I never would have imagined that I would be at this point in my life talking to you, doing an interview, not thinking about my speech. As a matter of fact, I would have quickly declined the interview with Mr. Michael before. I'll say, no way. No one's going to listen to me talk. Now, I love listening to myself talk. I love listening. And again, I'm not arrogant. I just remember where I was and where I am now, and I'm grateful. So It's just plain grateful.
And that's the key. The whole thing is we're not trying to get you where you're thinking about techniques, you're thinking about modeling. We want to quickly get you to the place where you're thinking about other stuff. You're thinking about what you want to do with your life. You're thinking about helping people. You're thinking about doing your job. You're not thinking about speaking, right? In fact, as you and I are speaking now, you're probably not even thinking about speaking at all, right? It's almost amazing that we're not only not thinking about words, but we're not even thinking about speaking. We're not even really thinking about what we want to say. We just have an intention of what we want to communicate, and we're just letting our speaking style and our bodies, our brains do the rest.
Right.
In a very powerful manner, right? Because we've trained ourselves.
Right.
So, well, Mona, sincerely appreciate this. Maybe one day we'll get back together and focus in on another topic. Maybe people have questions for you about anything that you've said or about the process. So I want to encourage you all to go ahead and leave those comments wherever you might see this video. Thank you so much, because I know that you came home from work and you have to take care of your family, but you took time out to do this with me. And of course, it went longer than what we had planned, but I said that if it goes longer, then it's because there's some really good stuff that's coming out of it. So thank you so much.
Michael, I want to thank you sincerely, and I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored that you asked me to interview, to be interviewed, because I tell you what, I am so very happy, and I hope that you can see it. I certainly hope other people can see it. And I want to offer hope to people, because I felt at one point in my life, I felt hopeless. And so hope equals you.
Thank you, Mona.
You're welcome. Thank you.